We're just getting back from boat week. We had a great time last week with everything on the water, and today we're back at the airfield. Hot, sunny, 90-degree weather. I think it's time to fly with this beautiful blue sky and white fluffy clouds. When Abby first took a look at this Commander, she said, well, what's so special about that? Then I picked it up and she was like, whoa, I like that plane now. That's all it takes for some of us, right? This is a very good looking plane. It took me maybe 10 or 15 minutes to put it together, a total of 8 screws. They were all Phillips head. And I have to say, whoever's idea it was to perfectly label and separate all of the screws and give the best size chart in the instructions, genius. You'd be amazed at how many planes don't do that. This was an awesome setup. I did, however, need Abby's help to strong arm one of the wings into place. I think
basically I built the whole plane.
Yeah, sure. Abby built this plane. This is a nice 6-channel airplane if you count safe assigned to a switch as your 6th channel, 5 channels being flaps, of course. Very easy to set up and get in the air if you want a plane that's quick and easy to put in the air. We'll have this linked in the description box below if you want to check it out for yourself, or maybe pick one up for yourself. Today's video is going to be a maiden flight. I have never flown this before. This will be a true maiden experience that we share with you guys. It flies on a 3S battery, and of course, I have smart batteries inside. If you don't know what a smart battery is, please check them out. We'll have those linked in the description box below too.
Have you named your pilot yet?
No, we need a name.
I have a name. Since it's the Commander, his name is Charlie.
Charlie?
Or Charles if you want to get fancy.
Okay, Abby's pitching the name Charles. I'll think of a name while we're flying. We need to hear some names from you guys. Let us know in the comments. If you're new to flying, you're not exactly sure what route to go, the best setup for this airplane, we'll have all the good stuff linked in the description box below. Because this is a maiden flight, I've got a nice LiPo alarm in here. I'd like to know how long of a flight can I get on some of my favorite batteries. Let's put it in the air and have some fun. I do think this is such a good looking plane on the ground and hopefully in the air too. Safe is assigned to a switch. I think I've got it reversed, but we should be able to figure that out in the air pretty quickly. I just want to taxi this on the grass. A lot of us like knowing how it looks on the ground too. It looks really good. Drives well on the ground. I'm sure this would do well on asphalt. I'm ready for takeoff. Here we go. Again, this is just on a 3S battery. I feel like I have some up trimmed into this. I've got a lot of lift, yeah. So it feels like safe is on, but I do have a lot of climb in here. Now, some people have said they have troubles trimming while safe is on. I, however, do not. I want to throw safe off and see how it flies. I have a ton of up elevator.
Yeah. Should you land it and reposition your battery? Do you think the CG is off?
No, it's all, I saw that the
trim.
I knew my elevator had a lot of up in it. So, okay.
Well, that's what's fun about maidens.
Here's a learning opportunity. Notice how much the plane is climbing. That's completely on its own, okay? If I just let that go on its own, it's just gonna climb like crazy. So if I give it input, it will go down and I can fly it normal, but I have to hold it there. So let's use this as a learning opportunity for everybody. If your plane does that, do your best. You may have to ask your friend to get it down safely. It's a challenge when it's not trimmed up right, but what we're gonna do is adjust mechanically on the ground to get it to fly better than that. See, that's scary. I did not want that to happen.
You're gonna have to come in with juice.
There we go. That's okay.
Oh.
We're down, we're down. Let's get it trimmed up mechanically. That was not a horrible
At least
wreck.
you can see the prettiest part of the plane right now.
Yeah. All right, we'll make it fly great. So I haven't touched anything since I recovered it off the field. We're gonna bring our trim back down to 0 because it was at full. And now we can power off the airplane, but we wanna make note of where the elevator is. Now, Abby, I'm gonna pick this up to show it. You guys can see probably how much up there is in the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. We want to make a mental note of that and try not to bump that when we power off.
You just didn't notice that while you were building it?
Well, I knew there was some, but I also thought when safe kicked in that maybe it would just level out. So we take a look at this little push rod here. It's held on with a ball joint, which is really nice because they just pop off. You can use pliers.
Can you move your hand for a second? 'Cause I didn't put to see. There, that thing.
There's a little ball joint here.
Yep.
Sometimes you need to use like a knife to pry it out. Use pliers though for safety's sake. I realize I adjusted that, but we just want to pop off that little ball joint. I got this popped off, took a second. And now you can see, I try to push the elevator to see which direction it needs to go, just as a reminder, you know. So that needs to go down, which means we need to thread this in some. So this little ball joint piece, I'm just gonna hold the wire, the push rod in place and twist this black ball joint down. Some of these are a little bit different, but this one being the ball joint is really nice because you can make quick adjustments like this. Well, I feel really good about that. Visually, it looks much more level. Safe is on, so let's get it back in the air and see if it flies any better. It really should. If anything, I feel like I might have a little bit of down, but that is significantly better. So I'll take my hands off the controls, and there we go. That's completely hands-free at about 45% throttle, and the wind is making it turn that way. So that's great. That's with safe on. She's flying perfect. So this, even when you have safe set up, I would say that's probably the worst flying out of the box experience I've had from a Spectrum model, or E-flite, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking Spectrum because it uses Spectrum.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad. I have to do that with a lot of my planes that don't have the safe setup. Now, you guys give Abby a huge thumbs up for recording today because it's extremely bright and she's looking at a tiny little 2-inch screen in direct sunlight to record this video. So if you're seeing an airplane, that's awesome because Abby can't right now. Look at the underside of that wing. I'm just kind of cruising. Let's do a full throttle pass. We're keeping it in safe and I will take it out of safe and see how she flies in just a minute. Here's full throttle. That was me pushing it down. Nice, pretty plane flying by. I like this a lot. I wasn't sure what to expect with this airplane. The wind has picked up quite a bit, but it's handling it just fine. We'll try to do full throttle this way with the wind.
You showing off the bottom of it?
Trying to. It's a pretty airplane, isn't it? The top and the bottom both look really good. Now, I'm still gonna rely on that LiPo alarm today. Yeah, that's a nice looking airplane. I'm going to take it out over Death Valley, gain a little bit of altitude because we had a little bit of troubles with this one. I'm going to take it out of safe right now. And it looks like I might need to trim it just a hair. I got a little bit of roll going into it and still a little bit of climb. So I'm going to trim that out of it.
So you can trim it manually and you can trim it on the transmitter too.
Yeah, so usually you want to get the biggest parts of trimming done on the ground before your maiden. I was in a bit of a hurry, I'll be honest. I built this before coming to the airfield today, knowing that I was going to fly. I didn't get a good look at it before I got it in the air. I just bound it to the radio. I never really got a good look at the elevator. That's something that I should have done before I tried to fly, but
sometimes you pilots, you get in a hurry.
Yeah,
and don't take all the necessary precautions.
Oh, that's a tight loop.
Prior to flying, and you're gone.
I'm up in the clouds.
I know.
I'm really high up. Just enjoying flying this a little higher because it's pretty windy, and this is just a 3S airplane.
You did that loop without warning.
I did.
Ready.
I just kind of threw it out there. We'll do another loop coming back this way. I'm going to climb up, and we'll use the rudder to bring it back down, and we'll do a couple loops coming back this way. This is a really nice airplane. It's kind of feathery. It flies a little bit feathery, but then when you do something like that, it feels like it has a ton of authority. The wind does seem to affect how this performs though. I can feel and see what the wind is doing. It's really wild. I feel like this would have been a good plane to have as a 4S option too, but supposedly just 3S. Although it's got a 45 amp ESC and a 15 size brushless 900 kV outrunner motor, so I would think that it could handle 4S at least in short bursts. But I'm not going to be the one to tell you that because they do say that you should probably just fly a 3S battery. I'll have our favorite battery linked in the description box below. What a pretty plane.
We got to do an evening flight on this one.
We can do that.
With the sun hitting it.
We'll do that with a follow-up.
It'd look much better.
Flies great though. Just wanted you guys to be a part of a true maiden. Not all of us guys, even if we have flown hundreds of airplanes, have perfect maidens, and that's really important to share. Most of the time these E-flite planes are perfect right out of the box, but that time it was not. Again, I would have normally caught something like that, but that's pretty rare for me to have to adjust anything mechanically before flying an E-flite plane. For example, my A10 that I have, I didn't have to do anything like that.
I can only think of a couple times you've had to do adjustments like that.
Yeah. So let's turn safe on now, and I would like to lower the flaps and see if we can get some low flybys, slow and low. Nice. So I haven't even had the flaps on at all yet. I'm going to throttle up to get through this curve so we don't tip stall. Now this is going to be more with the wind. It won't look as pretty. There's that pretty wing though. And I'll get it going this way. We'll put nose into the wind with full flaps still on. And we'll see if we can get it to just hover. There we go. Abby's spaceship mode right here. Isn't that awesome? I still want to get a full flight on this battery for you guys. I like that. That is low and slow. That's 5 minutes is what you guys just heard from my radio. But I want to get a low voltage alarm going off so we know what a realistic flight time is on this airplane, including that first minute or so of really sloppy flight. This is all with safe on and just a pretty airplane, especially with this blue sky. We'll turn safe off and go up. And I haven't done any inverted yet, so let's bring it out over Death Valley and I'll just roll it upside down, see how it does. I'm guessing it'll fly pretty well upside down. Yeah. Now I can see that checkered pattern a little bit more.
Yeah, I saw it there for a second.
My inverted flying is usually pretty high up. I'm just not
You're not that high. You are not that high.
There we go. Nice outside loop. I like my snap rolls, of course.
Thought you were going down for a second.
I've got to reverse my safe switch. It feels weird. Safe is supposed to be on right now, but it's in the off position.
But it is on.
It's off. No, it's
never.
off.
Wait,
it's in
what?
on position. I just have my switch reversed on my radio. Well, I say that this would be an awesome 4S airplane, but it's fully capable, even on a windy day, on this 3S battery. And as you guys are seeing, just on a 2200 milliamp LiPo battery, we're getting a nice long flight time. This is really wild. Let's take this over. You know what this kind of reminds me of? Like a Spitfire Warbird. The shape of the wing really resembles that to me, minus the way the wheels are. I think they had retract landing gear there. I turned safe on. From a distance, and if you change the color to a gray or dark green, this would look like a Warbird. I hear the LiPo alarm, I think.
I thought I heard it too there.
Thought I heard it out there, Abby, so it probably is low. We'll land it and check our voltage. Let's turn flaps on full. I do want to land.
I think you're almost to a total of 8 or 8.5 minutes.
Sounds about right, because I've got 7 minutes flight time on my on my radio right now. So I'll check the voltage when it gets down. That'll let us know if that was a full flight or not. And you know what? I like being able to throw out a cool little lesson or two. Not every time I fly it's perfect, so that was a little better than the first landing, right?
Oh yeah.
What a pretty plane. We will have a follow-up of this plane on the channel soon.
Good job, Charles.
Yeah. Well, my little LiPo alarm, which is fairly accurate, says 3.6 volts per cell, and in a little bit that will round up to probably maybe 3.7, 3.75 volts per cell, which is almost a storage charge. So I'm sure we did hear the alarm being set at 3.6 volts per cell. Sometimes I set them at 3.5 to go off, but that was a great flight. That was a little sketchy at first, and if I were a beginner pilot, that would not have been fun. Abby, you know, you wouldn't have enjoyed having to bring that down, needing that much trim, but also a beginner pilot will probably take their time a little bit longer and make sure that all of your throws are pretty much level with the surface. That's a good lesson to walk away from, guys.
I personally would rather have a plane that is getting pushed down than be climbing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the natural feeling is to pull down on the right stick.
I don't like pushing a plane down.
Yeah.
It's scary, but pulling up is fine to me.
You want your control surfaces to look like they are traveling in the proper flow or direction of the actual wing or rear. And if you look here, like your rudder, you really want that to be as straight as you can with the vertical stabilizer. You don't want to take off on the ground with it being super crooked. If that were all the way to the left, I'd want to either trim that up on the radio, or if it's too much to trim on the radio, do exactly what we did and just adjust the threads of the push rods. So the elevator, when we were going to take off, was notched up like this, even though my stick was at center. These are things you should check out before you ever take off. Just the goober and myself being excited.
Rushing.
I was rushing things, yes, and that's why we had that funky flight at the beginning.
But that's okay, because everybody learned.
Yes, and that no fault to the airplane or the people that made the airplane. That was at my own fault and just assuming that it would be perfect right out of the box, because most of them are. This was fun to fly, and now that I got it zeroed in, it's even more fun to fly. When it's not so super bright out, Abby and I will be back up at the airfield to do a follow-up flight with this. It might be a few days from now, it might be a month or so from now, but this will be back on the channel, and I'm so excited to be able to share that with you guys. For these moments, even these super bright days, or even with my sunglasses I can barely see, I thank God. I'm so happy to be able to share these experiences and opportunities with you guys, and hopefully somebody out there enjoyed this video and maybe helped you decide whether you should or should not buy this airplane. I give it 2 giant thumbs up for what it is. I don't have a lot of airplanes that look like this, and I certainly don't have any that are this cool on the bottom of the wing. So this one's a keeper. Abby, eventually you're gonna have to fly this one. It was really fun, a 3S battery, and it flew nice and level and slow and safe. Take it out of safe and you can throw a tight loop and rolls at it and then pop safe back on. I'll reverse the switch so it doesn't confuse you, and then it'll be super easy to fly for me and you. You know how we love flying the Valiant, both you and I? I think this is a nice one that we can share together.
Nice, I like that idea. Yeah.
Guys, we couldn't do this channel at all and have all of these free videos for everyone if it wasn't for our Patreon supporters. Every single one of you guys, from $1 or more, we sincerely thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You're keeping our batteries charged, food in the belly, and fuel in the tank. On these hot days, Amelia says thank you very much to keep the AC on. That's where she is right now, taking a nice little nap. We'll have another one of our favorite airplanes under $200 popping up right about now. Maybe one that Abby flew. Thanks for watching. We'll see you there.
Bye.